Did you hear the rumor that black people in Dallas are bougie? Well, it's true, because they've been bougie since the 1800s. I'm Te-Erika, the author of Dallas, Texas Black History Uncensored. It all started around 1861 during the Civil War. Now, the north part of the United States was fighting with the south part of the United States because the South didn't want to follow the rules like the rest of the country. They wanted to go their own way, so they had to fight. Well, while the North and the South was arguing and fighting from state to state, this was Dallas, far removed from the bloodshed and just watching as everything went on like, While major cities across the country were in shambles because of all of the war and fighting, Dallas remained untouched. So by the end of the Civil War in 1865, Dallas didn't have to rebuild like the rest of the cities. So they appeared to be a step ahead, and they acted like it. After the Civil War ended in 1865, it was immediately followed by the emancipation of the enslaved. Once black people tasted a bit of freedom, those who had the means ran to get an education. Black people were so excited to learn, their minds had been stifled under enslavement, and this was their opportunity to show off. Educational institutions for blacks were sprouting up all over the country, including Meharry Medical College in 1876. Meharry Medical College was the premier producer of black doctors in the United States. And guess where they all wanted to live once they graduated? You got it, Dallas. By 1888, Dallas was flooded with the best minds in medicine, like Dr. Benjamin Blewett and Dr. John Wesley Anderson. Dallas became known as the hotspot for the best of the best. But it wasn't always just about education. Black people in Dallas felt a responsibility to the race to represent with the highest standards. Black people were taught to speak a certain way, to behave a certain way, and under no circumstances would you ever leave the house looking less than presentable. Now, this became a problem for a prominent teacher by the name of Elizabeth Ewell. She taught at the Colored School No. 2 in 1891. Miss Ewell had a bully by the name of Mrs. Mattie Mansfield, and Mattie had a son that was in Miss Ewell's class. After Miss Ewell punished Mattie's son for misbehaving in class, Mattie came to the school and beat Miss Ewell up in front of everybody, stripping all her clothes off. Mattie walked right down to the courthouse, pled guilty to assault, and paid the fine. She didn't care about the fine. She just didn't like Miss Ewell because she thought she was too uppity. Well, one day, Miss Ewell was just walking down the street, minding her business, when she came across Miss Mansfield, and Miss Mansfield looked at her, and then she laughed. Not only did she laugh, she told Miss Ewell, "Your dress is wrinkled." Miss Ewell burst into tears, ran home crying, and filed paperwork to sue Miss Mansfield in court for shaming her publicly. Of course, she lost and created a spectacle where everybody in the courtroom was laughing at her, but that's just how important it was to present yourself properly so you could be approved by the public. And no one was more approved than the first prominent black couple to marry in Dallas. This is Frederick K. Chase, and he was born enslaved, but once he was able to get an education, he went all out. He ended up graduating from the Howard University School of Law and then working at the U.S. Department of the Treasury. After that, he opened up his own law practice because he wanted to build a bigger dream. And guess where he wanted that dream to happen? In Dallas. He brought all of that talent and ambition right to Dallas. He met the school teacher Fannie Hall and married her in 1892. Together they worked to develop the intellectual community of Dallas. And their daughter ended up becoming one of the founders of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, Te-Erika Chase. By the time the 1900s rolled around, Dallas had become this place where people who had big dreams aspired to be. And in 1937, the entire country was looking at Black Dallas after this feature ran in Life magazine called Life Goes to a Party. It featured photos of high society debutantes and cotillions, further solidifying the reputation that Dallas was bougie. And everybody believed it. So they started acting like it. And those who believe they're highly sophisticated, they flock to Dallas because they want to meet their people. Are you bougie in Dallas? Leave a comment to let me know. I'm Te-Erika with the T. Follow for more Black history.